Wake up, wake up, wake up. It's the Flow Show No Filter, and we got to cut through all the confusion today. In this Diddy case, Diddy trial, the defense got cooked and they got everybody tripping. But before I get into that, let me cover my ass. No Diddy. The thoughts, views, and opinions shared on the Flow Show No Filter are for educational and entertainment purposes only. I am not a professional. I am just good. Happy hump day. You are now rocking with the mother effing best Diddy breakdown-ologist in the game. And dang, it ain't even close. We gotta get into it today. It's like I got people on their heels. They so mad that I'm having so much impact. It's like they trying to cheat and make up stuff. But one thing about me is I'm bringing receipts. Everybody else just be shooting from their hip. So I'm gonna bring receipts today and cut out all the noise. I'm gonna cook a couple people. I actually got to cook TMZ and Harv Levin, whatever his name is. I'm gonna have to cook him a little bit today to kind of just expose what's really going on with him, because a lot of people are seeing that TMZ is heavily slanted and trying to act like it's no case. And I'm gonna break down the simple reason why that's the case. It's very obvious, but what's obvious to me, I've learned, is not obvious to the world. So I just go ahead and break it down. Also, the Diddy's defense got their behinds handed to them on a silver platter yesterday. They would have been better if they didn't even show up yesterday. We're going to talk about that. And of course, we got to get into the new surprise witness, Kid Cudi, Shaker Heights High School graduate, much like myself. Cleveland in the building. Kid Cudi will be testifying and talking about Diddy blowing up his card. That is so damning for the defense. I don't even know what to say. But thank you as you come in. Like the live, share the live. Let's get everything going. Hey, now Dreamer in the building. I see Melody. I see Kobe. I see Laura. See Tuck. Everybody's joining us. I think Facebook should be popping in on us as well. Let's see. Let me make sure I got Facebook in the building. Okay, Facebook is definitely in the house. How is everybody feeling today? It's a great day. Happy hump day. Wednesday, halfway through the week. And it's been, this Diddy trial has really brought out the best and the worst of us as a society. And it's been kind of weird, but it is what it is. You know, you got people on both sides, and I respect both sides. Y'all know one thing about me. I am a sponge, and I love a healthy debate because I learn a lot from both sides. I don't only pay attention to my side. That's what people were like. Everybody say you could have been a lawyer, but my thing is, sometimes I'm on the defense side of a case. Sometimes I'm on the prosecution side of a case in my mind. So I don't like being tied to one side. I like to learn. So the Diddy supporters, it doesn't even bother me that you supporting Diddy. I believe everybody has a right to support who they want to support. I would never be mad at somebody for supporting whoever they want to support. I mean, come on, we all grown. But the frustrating part is about the Diddy supporters is none of them can articulate whatever they're trying to say. Like they only can regurgitate and repeat some blanket statement that they've heard somebody else say. And it's like, and it's over and over again. It's like they'll come in my comments, Diddy come home, this is a weak case. Okay. Can you articulate that? Can you explain to me how it's a weak case? And then I probably could eat you up in one comment. But none of them can even explain anything. So it's telling me one thing. Most of the intelligent people aren't siding with Diddy. And I hate to say it like that. I'm just being honest. Like, I would love for somebody to come in my comments and give me point A, B, and C and explain why Diddy is coming home or explain to me what's missing. They can't do that at all. I haven't had one person do that. So it's just like, well, a 10-year-old can say one thing. He coming home, the case is weak. I haven't seen RICO. Like, can y'all explain something? Because when I look at the facts, it's obvious that they have a case because every time you look around, Diddy hiring another lawyer. So Diddy knows. If y'all don't know, Diddy knows there's a case because he's just hired his 10th lawyer yesterday. And so we're going to get into the breakdown of the testimonies and all of that. But before I get into that, I got to go through this real punch list real quick because I'll forget. I gotta tell y'all about some of the stuff going on. So first of all, the Prince audio tape being played in the courtroom, that's absolutely false. Anybody or any page that you see talking about that, do yourself a favor and just block them. That's fake news. You know, some of us get views from our talent and our ability to cover the case, and then others are getting their views by just putting out fake, gossipy, celebrity style news. I hate it because this is such a serious case. I just wish people would just talk about the case, whatever side you on. Just express. But to put out obvious fake news and then everybody running with it, it's annoying. So the Prince recording being played in the courtroom is some of the fakest news we've ever had in the history of even me covering cases. So please throw that out of your memory. And if anybody who's repeating that, you need to block them because they ain't gonna do nothing but give you a lot of fake info. They just trying to get clicks and views and likes, probably trying to make some money. So I just wanted to make sure to put that out there to my community. That's absolutely fake. And also, before I get into the actual testimonies, the TMZ, let me just quickly explain this because I'm gonna do a breakdown on a real video on my social media page because this is another thing that's confusing people. Because a lot of people are like, well, why is TMZ making me feel like there's no case? I'm not gonna get all the way into it because we got to get into the testimonies, but just to give y'all some knowledge, Harvey Levin, the owner, the person who runs TMZ, is best buds and pals with Mark Garagos. Mark Garagos is Diddy's longtime personal attorney who has not only helped Diddy over and over again, but he's actually been implicated in some shadiness, helping him. Even with the guy Odie or with Adi or whatever, the guy that said in 2018 detailed all of the Cassie and Diddy sex trafficking and what he had them do. Y'all remember him? And they're saying he said to testify. He even said that Mark Garagos forced that NDA and for him to shut up. And even after Jonathan Odie or Adi, even after he signed the NDA, Mark Garagos teamed up with FBI and was following him around and harassing him. Mark Garagos even said out of his mouth recently that Diddy is his friend and he's standing by him and he should not be left alone. Harvey Levin has a podcast with Mark Garagos. Mark Garagos' daughter, Tenny Garagos, is the lead attorney on the Diddy case. So I want everybody to understand Harvey is super compromised. He is literally a partner in a podcast with the defense team of Diddy. So we should expect his commentary to be heavily slanted to Diddy. It just makes common sense. But like I said, Common sense isn't so common. More people in my position that are covering this case should be able to convey this information. I shouldn't be the only one. And I always come with receipts. I don't shoot from the hip. I told you I was trained since a kid in high school and elementary school. We had to source all of our information. So I'm like a robot when it comes to that. I can't, if I do shoot from the hip, I'm gonna tell you, hey, this is just me talking. But the TMZ thing, and I'm gonna break it down in the video so it'll go viral and everybody will know. That would be the equivalent to me having a podcast with the prosecution. So of course I'm gonna say everything slanted to them. So that's what's going on with TMZ. So for anybody out there that's confused and wondering why Harvey and TMZ are trying to act like it's no case and all of that, is because Mark Garagos is partners with Harvey on a podcast called The Angry Old Man or whatever. And Mark Garagos has been a long time analyst for TMZ, for legal analyst for cases, and this has been for years. So you put all that together, and anybody with common sense will know, okay, what is Harvey? Of course, Harvey is going to go that way. He's going to help his buddy out. So anyway, now that we got that out the way, let's get into the testimony. I told you this was about to be hell week for Diddy. And it's exactly that. They are starting to get into the RICO part of this case that everybody been waiting for, the RICO and racketeering. I told you that starts once the snitches, the people in Diddy's close circle, once they start talking, that's when you start bringing down the RICO. So let's check it out. Let's go. I think I'm gonna go with the New York Post. The New York Post first. Nah, okay, yeah. So check it out. Let's get into the actual testimony and recap what went on yesterday. We heard from Cassie's mother, like I told you we would. David James, we already knew he was testifying. We also heard from another sex worker, nicknamed the Punisher, which is a hell of a nickname for a sex worker. The Punisher sounds like he means business. And he detailed a lot that went on with Diddy. And we're gonna get into that. So this comes from NBC News, which is not my favorite publication, but I told you I like to mix it around just to be fair. So we're gonna get into NBC News. Cassie Ventura's mom and an exotic dancer named the Punisher take the stand. Now I'm gonna go through this, then I'll break down Diddy's assistant, David James. I'll get into kind of what his testimony was about, but let's cover these first. So prosecutors called 4 witnesses to the stand yesterday in an effort to paint a wider portrait of Diddy's alleged abusive behavior and his complex relationship with ex-girlfriend Cassie. We all know Cassie was on for about 4 days, almost the whole week. It was very grueling, but she did her thing. So they began talking about David James. David James was first up yesterday. That's Diddy's former personal assistant. He returned to the stand and testified that he quit his job after he saw the rapper arm himself with 3 handguns to possibly confront rival hip-hop mogul Suge Knight at a Los Angeles dinner in 2008. James said that he was shook up by the episode and that he began to feel his life was in danger. Now let's stop right there for a second and give you some context. If you remember when Cassie was on the stage, on the stand, she talked about how that one time when Diddy and his goons said they saw Suge Knight, and then he jumped up and left with guns, and she was crying. Well, like I told you, every time you hear a story and you hear names, you're going to hear next, you're going to see the prosecution corroborate those claims with another witness in Diddy's circle. And so this is what's going on right here. Now, another thing I want to clear up, people that are saying RICO is hard to prove. No, it's not. You're talking about those people, first of all, don't even know there's two kinds of RICO. You got conspiracy RICO, which is what we're dealing with here. And you have substantive RICO. Substantive RICO is much harder to prove. Let me tell you the difference in layman's terms, of kind of the easiest way I could put it out to you. Conspiracy RICO, Diddy doesn't even have to fucking do anything literally. All he has to do is have two or three, mainly only two people in his organization, but two or three people all confirmed that Diddy planned to use his criminal enterprise, which would be Bad Boy, that he was going to use them to carry out illegal things. That's conspiracy. That's all. That's why people don't even understand what we're dealing with here, and they're just making comments. I actually study RICO, study the case, read the indictment paperwork, go over other cases of RICO, past cases, and understand the letter of the law as it applies to this case. If you're not doing all of that, shut the hell up. Because you're confusing people and you're confused yourself. So let me continue. So conspiracy RICO, it's just two or three people got to just say, hey, he talked about doing this and he was going to do this. And bam, conspiracy RICO is proven. Substantive RICO, you have to prove that Diddy actively was involved, and you have to prove that acts were actively carried out. That's not what we're even dealing with here. So when you hear somebody say RICO is hard to prove, all that's saying is they heard someone say that and they're just repeating it. They don't even know what the hell RICO is. They don't even understand it. Not only do I research this shit, but fortunately, I have friends who have been up and through the system. Fed cases, state cases, RICOs, coercion. And we talk every other night. And they not and a lot of my friends are on Diddy's side. And we talk and we go back and forth. But see, that's the thing about me. We have open relationships, open conversations, openness with my friends. So we can argue and they can tell me why they on Diddy's side, and I can tell them why that's fucked up. But eventually we'll talk about some stuff and meet on some common ground. But I learn a lot, not just from Google, but I learn from people who actually have been there. And if you talk to somebody who's ever dealt with a conspiracy charge, it is so easy to prove conspiracy that people think it's unfair. Because conspiracy is literally hearsay. Like people say, oh, this is a lot of hearsay. That's what conspiracy is. Conspiracy is just people in your group or your company or your enterprise. Two or three people just flip on you and get together and all corroborate that you were trying to use your enterprise or your company to do illegal crimes. That's all conspiracy is. So I'm not here to tell anybody what to think. I'm just here to give you the actual real information so you can determine. And if you hear that and still think it's no case, I'm fine with that. But what I'm not going to do is sit back and let all this misinformation and people who just playing video games and sleeping on their couch talk about conspiracy and talk about the case and RICO. And I can tell in the statement that you make that you don't know about it, you haven't researched it. And me being somebody who has researched it backwards and forwards, I welcome anybody that wants to debate me. The problem is they don't want to debate me because they know I'll chew their ass up and spit them out like a piece of gum. I ain't had no gum in a long time. But anyway, let's get back into this. So David James was put on the stand to drive home the fact that Diddy ran around and had his employees running around with guns and like it was boys in the hood. Again, we're talking about conspiracy. This is damaging in a RICO conspiracy case. Because it doesn't matter if Diddy actually shot anybody. It doesn't matter if Diddy actually carried out anything. The conspiracy is that you put your employees together and had them doing illegal shit, and it was under your plan. The defense he was cross-examined by Mark Agnifilio, which I told y'all from the beginning, he is the worst lawyer on Diddy's team, and it's not close. He is by far the worst. And he proved it again, trying to cross-examine David James. David James ran circles around Agnifilio. He had the courtroom even laughing at him. I wouldn't be surprised if Mark Agnifilio is banned from cross-examining. Because if I was Diddy, as bad as Mark Agnifilio was at cross-examining David James, and my life is on the line and my freedom is on the line, there's no way in hell he would have a chance to cross-examine another MFer the rest of this trial. David James chewed him up. David James explained to him, hey, I was assistant, a regular employee before I got with Diddy. Once I got with Diddy, next thing I know, we wielding guns and doing drugs. That's damaging for conspiracy because it's showing the drugs, it's showing that Diddy ran around with guns, and they don't need video footage of Diddy with guns. They just need 2 or 3 people in Diddy's company to all get together and say and sign a deal with the feds and say, hey, we all agree and we'll testify that Diddy ran around with guns and had us running around with guns. Boom, RICO proven. Then Kid Cudi gets on the stand and talks about how they blew his car up. And then all the workers, including who was with Diddy, then they come together and say, yeah, this happened. Boom, it's proven. People acting like this is a murder trial where you need DNA evidence, the murder weapon. This ain't that. And to a certain degree, to be honest with y'all, not in Diddy's case, but conspiracy is somewhat unfair to me. I'm just being honest. Now, in Diddy's case, he should rot and burn. I mean, it's obvious what he did. This is almost as much of an open and shut case as I've ever been a part of. But if I'm just separating myself from this case, conspiracy can be, to me, a bit unfair because it is based on a few snitches in your organization getting together and saying, yeah, he did that. They take deals, your ass up the river. So aside from the Diddy case, if you really look up conspiracy RICO versus substantive RICO, you'll see the difference and understand why this RICO is not hard to prove. Once you get to this point, it's harder for you to prove that it ain't RICO. You need workers who are not going to testify and workers who are going to stand strong, and you would rather have 10 co-defendants with you where y'all all saying we ain't talking. That's how you fight a RICO. But if you got a RICO and you by yourself and your whole team of employees is telling on you, you're fried. Fried green tomato, fried macaroni and cheese, deep fried wings with the extra sauce. You are cooked. So when people say he's the only one on the RICO, that don't make sense. He's the only one on the RICO because everybody flipped immediately because these are not street gang people. They are like, I'm trying to get home to my kids and I'll work another job. I will tell everything on Diddy. So I have to bring the truth so you know what you're dealing with. Like I said, after that, you're free to think whatever you want. Some people still might be on Diddy's side. I'm good with that. I just want people to know the real information, man. And I researched this shit like my life depend on it. That's the difference. I'm so passionate. It's hard for a person to debate me with this. I am eat, sleep, and breathing, and I'm getting information off Google. I'm getting information from friends who actually have gone through conspiracy with the feds and RICO and coercion. We have conversations at night. So let's continue. And let me tell you, before I go to the next testimony, which was Regina Ventura, Cassie's mother, this will give you an idea of how horrible Mark Agnifilio's cross-examination of David James was. There was a point where towards the end where it was like Mark Agnifilio was like grasping for straws. And he said, when you went around with Diddy, I know a lot of people, want to touch him or this or that. He's talking about fans. Mark Agnifilio said, would you say that Diddy was gracious? David James said, gracious is a word I would never use to describe Diddy. Ooh. And the whole courtroom said, damn. And everybody's like, why the fuck did Mark just threw him an alley-oop. I'm sure Diddy over there looking like old man Winter was like, what the hell are you talking about? And it got worse. Then it was like Mark Agnifilio tried to save the moment. He tried to save the moment. And he said, didn't he sign grass? And David James said, nope, never. So, and then after that, it was basically like no further questions. In other words, Mark Agnifilio said, shit, I done bombed this fucking test. And so it was like the whole courtroom was laughing. Mark Agnifilio, I'm telling y'all, and this will be another thing I just called out if it happens. I'm thinking he's gonna be barred from cross-examination. Because one thing about Diddy, he's a freak. He's a freak-off blender waiting to happen. He's devilish. He's narcissistic. He's a liar. He's fake and phony. But one thing I will not say, Diddy ain't no dummy. Unfortunately for him, he's very smart. And if he would have eliminated all this bullshit out of his stuff, there's no telling what Diddy could have been. But Diddy is not dumb. He's actually very smart. And I'm sure he noticed what I noticed. That Mark Agnifilio is sending Diddy up the river on a fucking motorboat. It's like he's sending him up the river fast and him up. But what's a torpedo? Sit your ass down, Mark Agnifilio. So that was how horrible the cross-examination with David James went. David James controlled the whole testimony. It was no further questions. Boom. Now we get to the next one. So as you can see, defense got their ass handed to them right there. And as far as for the RICO, they showed violence, intimidation, Diddy running around with guns, blah, blah, blah. All important things to prove RICO and racketeering. Next, Cassie's mother, Regina Ventura. The mother of Diddy's ex-girlfriend said she felt sick after her daughter told her he had threatened to release explicit videos because Cassie was dating rapper Kid Cudi. Diddy wanted $20,000 in exchange. Cassie's mom testified. She also told jurors she took photos of bruises on her daughter. This was another damning testimony for the defense. Don't let nobody tell you nothing different. And I'm going to explain to you why. And then you tell me if this is not damning. If you sitting over there and you're Diddy or you're Diddy's family, tell me this isn't damaging. Another key component to racketeering is extortion. If they prove that you engaged or planned on engaging in any form of extortion, which blackmailing and telling someone, I am going to put out a explicit tape or else, and that or else means you're going to put that tape out unless they pay you money, a sum of $20,000. That is textbook extortion. There's no way around that. So anybody that's telling you anything different is pandering to somebody. And if they're not pandering to somebody, they just don't know shit when it comes to the law, and block them and get them off your feed. Not to mention how much of a jerk you have to be. And the jerk is I'm saying it lightly. I'm trying to get through this without going the F off. So bear with me. Not to mention what kind of POS you have to be a billionaire. Call this young girl's mother and threaten to put out explicit tape. Your ass about 40 years old while you doing this, mind you. And this poor lady has to take out a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, or some type of loan to get your billionaire ass $20,000. And you accepted it. Now, they say 4 or 5 days later, he returned the money, but at that point, it's moot. It's a moot point. The crime is already done, and it just shows you what type of sick individual Diddy is with his itty bitty Diddy ass. What type of sick individual he is to do that to a woman, to not only threaten to put a explicit tape out about their daughter, but also demand $20,000. And you got people standing up for this guy. Unbelievable. This testimony was so damaging, not to mention the bruises that the jury and people saw on Cassie. Lip, eyes, bruise on the back of her behind, just jaw swole, just evil. And it lets you know that how much evil we have in this world, because people can just gloss over that and be talking about, did he come home? He ain't do nothing. And I'm like, you live in this world? This the world we live in? So this is why I stick to myself, because most of the world is like this. Because I tell you all the time, if it ain't my flow community, it ain't my best friend Darnell, it ain't my son King. Outside of that, everybody else, I take them with a grain of salt. Because as you see, this is what I like. At the same time, it's disappointing, but I'm the type of person, I love clarity. So I'm really loving what this trial is showing me about certain people, character, certain people's character. I actually like it because I like clarity. And I like to know, like, okay, I like to know where the assholes are. No Diddy. And so it doesn't really bother me. It's just more surprising that we have this much evil in the world. And these many people who don't, we are all brothers and sisters at the end of the day. We all bleed red. We all bleed blood. And so many people can just disassociate themselves from their fellow man. It's unbelievable. Because I can't imagine that if you put yourself in these shoes, you're that mother, that's your daughter. You're gonna be saying, "Oh, did he come home? Ain't no, they ain't did nothing. Ain't nothing wrong with it." That's what you're gonna be saying if that's your daughter. Or if you that mother, you got to scrape up $20,000 to send to a billionaire. Would you say, "Ain't nothing did, he didn't do nothing wrong"? So it just proves that a lot of people out here are just for themselves. They can't, they don't even know how or have the empathy to put themselves in someone else's shoes. And it's sad. And so another thing, and another reason why the testimony from Cassie's mom was so damaging, the defense declined even cross-examining her. So basically, she tells a story about basically, hey, Puff extorted me. Extortion by even the dumbest person know that that's extortion. You don't have to be no lawyer, no judge, no law major to know that saying, if you don't give me $20,000, I'm putting out this freak off tape of you. If you don't know that's extortion, I'm worried about you. So let's clearly say that's extortion. So she basically got on the stand and said, hey, jury, Puff Daddy extorted me. Normally, you would want to cross-examine that and kind of explain how it's not extortion, or at least make an attempt. The defense didn't even make an attempt. The defense didn't even cross-examine her at all. Do y'all know how damaging that is? You only need 2 acts, 2 criminal acts in a span of 10 years to prove RICO. They can be kidnapping, they can be extortion, they can be sex trafficking, they can be I'm drawing a blank. Is a few of them: kidnapping, extortion, arson. You got all type of to pull from. Well, they literally just proved extortion right there. So that's one. The defense didn't even cross-examine that. So we can say that was proven. So that's one right there. You got a million sex trafficking stories. All of them have to be lies in order for Diddy to get past that. But not only that, then we go to the arson. But before we go to the arson with Kid Cudi, because that's going to be the star of this show today, I'm going to break that all the way down to the lowest compound, break it down to the atom, to the electrons, the protons, the neutrons. Yeah, see, I see what people don't understand is they get my laid back delivery and my comfortable I just who I am, but they don't know I'm a smart motherfucker. I love knowledge. I always have. I always love knowledge. So I know more than people would even give me credit for, because I'm not one of these people that sit up here and try to be the smartest person in the room. But when it comes to science, when it comes to any of that, I get it in. And so we can move to the sex trafficking. The prosecution is holding a masterclass right now on how you serve a person up, tee them up, and take them to the deep water and let their ass go and drown. Because they are methodically picking the defense apart. Yesterday, like I said, the defense may have been better not to even freaking show up. They might have had a better day if they just would have stayed their ass at home. So let's go to the sex trafficking proof. Sheree Hayes, aka the Punisher. And it's just fitting that somebody with the nickname Itty Bitty Diddy with the Itty Bitty Committee with the little Tootsie Roll will be calling up and hiring the Punisher to come do what he can't do. I don't know what the hell, where they get these. But Diddy, Itty Bitty Diddy calls up the Punisher and say, come through, Punisher. I need you. AKA Sheree Hayes. And I told y'all Sheree Hayes was going to be testifying. But I didn't even know who the hell Sheree was. I actually thought it was a girl. I thought it was a lady when I told y'all Sheree Hayes. I didn't know it was a guy. Anyway, a male stripper by the name of the Punisher, called by the Itty Bitty, testified about being hired for as many. Thank you for the $4.99 super sticker, Steph. The Punisher testified about being hired for as many as 12 choreographed freak-offs, with Diddy and Cassie Hayes facing cross-examination from defense lawyer Xavier Donaldson. Agreed that Cassie did not appear to be in any discomfort during the marathon sexual encounters. That was the one tidbit of victory that they had. But let me explain something to y'all. And this is another thing that's frustrating to me. In my video, I said they engaged in illegal sex acts. Somebody said, what's an illegal sex act? I said, man, what the hell? What type of society? Where has our society went, y'all? See, I actually care about us. I actually care about our society. So it doesn't make me mad when I hear these type of or when I read these type of comments. It more makes me sad for one, what is our school? What is our schools teaching? Two, why do we have access to all of this information at the tip of our fingers? And I thought we would be progressing as an intelligent society. And it's like the more information at the tip of our fingers, the dumber we becoming, because we don't even want to look up the information. We just want to be on social media and talking shit. And it's sad to me. And it just makes me happy that my son isn't like that. My son is looking for knowledge. Matter of fact, my son disabled his Instagram. He don't even really do social media. I'm so glad that my son is not of this society. And that's not only, I can't just thank myself. I got to thank his mom for that a lot. Probably even more than me, because he's with it. You know, moms, we love our moms. And our moms are very influential. And his mom has been up his ass, no Diddy, his whole life. And we've been doing what we can to make sure he's not of this new society that we're living in. And I'm proud that he's not. But for the rest of them, it's ridiculous. He asked me, what's an illegal sex act? I said, the simplest answer, I try to make my answers very simple. And my simple reply was prostitution. Have you ever heard of it? And if you think it's nothing wrong with it, go ahead and post on your page all day, every day, that you got a couple $100 for anybody that want to come through and have sex with you. You're willing to pay them. Do that every day and see where that gets you. Since all of a sudden we don't even know that prostitution is legal. We don't even know that paying people for sex is illegal, y'all. Take me back to the 90s. I don't like this 2025 shit. We are all of a sudden, we don't even know that paying for sex is illegal. That was common knowledge when I was a kid. We have got so desensitized as a society that Diddy has been, they said over and over again that Diddy is paying people for sex, and we don't even know that's illegal. I got to explain that that's illegal. Like, seriously. So since I will explain. When you pay someone for sex, when you exchange money for sex, when you on Backpage and Craigslist and all these sideline websites, when you pay for sex, you just committed a crime. And if you fly motherfuckers all over the globe, now you crossing state lines, now it's federal. I can't believe there are a lot of people that don't know that, but they do know that because you don't see them putting it out there like that. But all of a sudden, when it comes to the Diddy case, all of a sudden they got the brain of a armadillo. They don't know anything. You don't know that paying for sex is illegal. So this will tell you that it's illegal. Why is it all these backyard inconspicuous ass sites? Why you can't just order sex on Uber Eats then? I try to break it down to something that people can understand. Why you can't just DoorDash you some sex? If ain't nothing wrong with it. Grubhub. Why can't you do that? Since we got so many people that all of a sudden don't realize it's illegal, why can't you just order it offline from a reputable app? Or for the freaky people, why can't you just go to Pornhub? Why don't they have a thing you can click and say, hey, I don't want to just watch porn. I want to order it to my home and come do it for real. You won't have none of that. You know why? Because paying for sex is illegal. So when you hear all this testimony about Cassie and Diddy gave this sex worker $1,000, this sex worker $800, this sex worker $2,000, and then you come in my comments talking about I don't see sex trafficking, that's when I need my granny, because she would know how to cuss you right out for being that dumb. What do you mean? Sheree Hayes was caught. Normally, he's coming to a party and dancing like the Chippendale stuff. That's what he's coming for. He didn't call him in order. You don't order sex. When you're doing and being sneaky about it, you call somebody who's coming there thinking they just dancing, which is legal. Come there, he wants to shake his Punisher. Punisher trying to come over and just shake his Punisher. He not trying to use his Punisher. That's why when he comes, Diddy has hijabs on and bandanas and you can't see his face and all this shit. It's like Diddy the only one know it's illegal. All his supporters don't know it's illegal. Diddy covered up like he's in some tomb in Egypt. He knows it's illegal. But what do? They call the Punisher. Punisher think he's showing up to a party with a bunch of people that he gonna just shake his Punisher all over the place. But then he shows up, it's just Cassie and some guy in a hijab covered up. You can't see nothing, and this pervert, all you hear is a voice. And then they know it's illegal, so they paying top dollar once you get there, and they say, hey, we want more than some dancing. We want some actual scenes. But don't worry, we got about $1,000 for you. And we got more where that came from. Now it's up to the person to say, do I want to do it or not? And that time they say, yeah, I'll take the money. Now they get that person's direct number. Now they ain't calling the company that they went through anymore, which the company is a reputable business because they just dance for parties, bachelorette parties and stuff like that. But now that the sex worker is there with Diddy and Cassie and they do whatever they do, now you get that person's number directly. Now you're just calling that person. You're not calling the company. Now that person knows, hey, you're paying for sex. I can't believe I got to explain to people that that's illegal. That's sex trafficking. And it turns fed when you start bouncing around between state lines. Happy hump day. I swear to God. So, now that we're done with the Punisher, I kind of like that name, though. I ain't going to lie. I wouldn't name myself Flo the Punisher. What if I change my name to Flo Show, whatever, the Flo Show, the Punisher. So then they went, I'm just being silly, but anyway, they went to law enforcement from there. Gerard Cannon, remember I told you law enforcement was going to be testifying. I was on the money yesterday. Y'all got to give me my flowers because I have y'all prepared for this case like we on the damn jury or the prosecution team or something. Because I told you the law enforcement, Gerard Gannon. I didn't know how to spell his name, but I knew that was his name. They got me explain. Listen, this has got so bad. Before I talk about this law enforcement, this has got so bad. They got me explain it like I'm a pro sex worker orderer. I don't do that stuff, but I know how it goes. it ain't no secret. I ain't never been no big crazy freak. That's why I can stand on a mountain and scream about how crazy all this is. Cause I'm regular. Shit. Shout out to my mom and dad. They made me I'm just regular. I ain't nowhere near none of this, whatever this Diddy stuff be going on. And that's another thing I want y'all to know. These guys who trying to stand up for Diddy, that's because they be doing this wild, borderline illegal shit. And they need this to be a conspiracy, or they need this to be somebody just trying to take down Diddy. Because if not, they nervous about their past. And to contrast that, the people like me that's standing up and cussing out everybody, the men like me that are standing up and cussing out everybody, that's because you can make a assume that we ain't nowhere near that freaky stuff. So when you see not just me, you see other guys standing up and cussing people out like me and saying how effed up it is. Oh, you can bet that guy ain't a part of that freaky world at all. But the guys like Lil Bootsy and all these little creeps in the comments, you better believe those some closet perverts. That's why they need Diddy to get off so they can feel good. They need Diddy to beat this case. They need this to feel like, oh, this just somebody trying to take down the black man. It ain't because he freaky. Because in their mind, they freaky as hell. And they be manipulating young women. And they be doing some of this borderline shit. So they need this to be. So I'm giving y'all some game right now. You know, I'm the king of paying attention to tea leaves. The guys like me who's jumping up and down and standing on the mountain and cussing everybody out and letting everybody know how effed up this is. That's because we ain't got to worry about, we ain't doing none of the freaky stuff. We not abusing and taking advantage of women and doing none of that. I ain't ordering none. I don't order sex. I don't never do that. Never have, never will. I don't like it. It ain't my thing. Never been my thing. Shout out to my parents for that. So I can cuss out people and stand on the mountain and tell everybody how wrong it is. I ain't worried about nobody or feeling like, oh man, well, what about me? Because that's what these creeps is. They like, well, shit. If Diddy go down for this, then I might be next. So I got to be in this comment talking about he getting off and coming home and all kind of crazy shit. But let me keep going. Let me get into this law enforcement guy, y'all. So federal agent who planned the search at Diddy's Miami home last year walked the jurors through photos of evidence seized at the property, including AR-15 rifles, baby oil, lubricant, and sex toys. The serial numbers on the guns were scratched out, making it harder for people to trace them. That's another super red flag in a ridiculous crime. You cannot have AR-15 rifles with the numbers scratched out. They found this at Diddy's home. Yet and still, you still had these comment creepers talking about they don't see nothing illegal. But even though they found AR-15s with the numbers scratched out. And if you don't know how illegal that is, just look it up. It takes you 2 or 3 seconds to type in, hey, matter of fact, you don't even got to type no more. Just hold a button down and you can just talk it. You can say, hey, Google, how illegal is having AR-15s with the number scratched out? Google gonna tell you in seconds. So you don't gotta be looking like an idiot in the comments. The defense got their behinds handed to them on a silver platter wrapped in a bow. The prosecution yesterday said, hey, defense, here's your behind. Hey, what's up, Angie? Angie says she's late today. Have a seat. Don't make too much noise. This is how the teacher used to be. Get to your seat. I'm going to talk to you after class. You know how you got to sit the whole class and wonder like, fuck, I'm in trouble. You don't know what the teacher going to say. Teachers love having you on edge like that. Yeah, go ahead and have a seat. You know, don't disrupt the class. But I'll talk to you after class. I'm like, fuck. Then now that whole class, you being the best student you ever was in your life. Ain't that how it happened? Ain't that how it go? You paying attention, you taking notes, your eyes your eyes wide as can be. You trying to let that teacher know I'm paying attention. I'm a good boy. All because you came late and she told you I'm gonna have to talk to you after class. Anyway, let's keep going. So the law enforcement kind of just laid out what was found at Diddy's residence. They just start pouring it on. I don't know if y'all watch sports, but at that point they was doing the Steph Curry go to bed. They was doing the Steph Curry night with their hands to the side because yesterday was the defense didn't do anything. Like I keep saying, they could have just stayed home. They were nothing. It was a nothing burger. Y'all know my famous term. That was a nothing burger for the defense yesterday, and I liked it. So, as if yesterday wasn't bad enough, then we got the announcement that Diddy is gonna have to look at Kid Cudi face to face because Kid Cudi is testifying. And my guys that I be arguing back and forth with about this case that's kind of on Diddy's side, but a lot of them starting to come over and they starting to say like, man, Diddy is just an evil ass person. So they starting to come over to my side. But I told people from the beginning Cudi was gonna testify. Why? Because I know Kid Cudi. And Kid Cudi come from Shaker. We don't, most Shaker people ain't thinking twice about testifying and doing what's right to bring down somebody. Especially if you blew his car up. Don't try to hit Cudi with that snitches get stitches and you ain't supposed to snitch and you done blew his car up. But let me get into the facts behind Kid Cudi because this is going to be arson. They've already proved extortion. They've already proved sex trafficking. That's 2 right there. You only need 2 to prove the RICO. But they about to prove arson. It's an open and shut case. Let me break that down for you. So what happened on the arson? First of all, Diddy did the first thing that you need to do. Intent. He said it out of his mouth, and I'm reading from the indictment paperwork. This ain't no damn article. This is from the indictment paperwork that I've read backwards and forwards 20 times over. In February 2012, during Paris Fashion Week, Mr. Combs told Miss Ventura that he was going to blow up Kid Cudi's car and that he wanted to ensure that Kid Cudi was home with his friends when it happened. Around that time, Kid Cudi's car exploded in his driveway. But the devil is in the details. Let me spell out the facts that they have to back up all this stuff. Meanwhile, you still have people saying they don't know about any crimes. Diddy literally said, I'm going to blow up his car, bragged about it afterwards, and then Cudi's car ended up blowing up, and people still act like they can't see where no crime's been committed. I'm like, y'all are weird at this point. He has committed about 30 crimes in the first week and a half of this trial, and you talking about you don't see no crimes. Do y'all know how buried Diddy's going to be by the time the prosecution got about 6 weeks of calling witnesses. Then the defense has about 2 weeks. Normally the defense only takes a week or 2. Prosecution has 6, maybe 7 weeks if it goes over time. They only a week and a half in, and Diddy's already buried. What do you think is about to happen for the next 2.5, 3? No, my math all off. 4.5 weeks. But let's get into the details, the evidence that they have. Not only did Diddy say he was going to do it, but check this out, y'all. And as I read this, just say to yourself, there's literally people saying they don't see any crimes. They don't see RICO, racketeering. Listen to this. And for some reason, you won't hear about any of this on TMZ. And matter of fact, it's becoming where it's kind of like me against TMZ. And I'm going to expose Harvey for him being in partners with the fucking having a whole podcast with Diddy's defense. And just so y'all know, I'm kicking everybody's ass. I'm probably at about 15 to 20 million views on the Diddy content since the trial started. Nobody else is anywhere near that. That's why they're trying to use TMZ to change the narrative, because YouTube is good, Apple and Spotify is good with the podcast, but the narrative is controlled by Facebook and Instagram, because Facebook and Instagram is where everybody is at the end of the day. You know, YouTube got their niche audience, Apple and Spotify have their niche audience, but TV has been replaced by Instagram and Facebook. And what I mean by that is, no matter who you are, 90% of all of us have either a Facebook or an Instagram or both. You know, some people don't go on YouTube at all. Some people don't go on Apple and Spotify at all. Some people don't know shit about TikTok. But what TV used to be, that's Instagram and Facebook. And although I am a force on all platforms, I am dominating Facebook and Instagram like Michael Jordan in his prime, with my tongue out, dunking from the free throw line. And so I am literally dominating the Diddy trial info. Nobody else, and I'm talking about TMZ, they don't have no 20 million views already of just Diddy content. I got them Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, Australia, Portugal, we don't even got to talk about United States. You already know what I'm doing to there. But so people are panicking. And so check this out. This is what the feds have proven about what Diddy, and Diddy was so dumb, he actively participated in setting up Cudi's car being blown up. Listen to this. For example, in the early morning hours of December 22, 2011, the defendant, which is Diddy, and a co-conspirator, which is somebody who is snitching on Diddy, kidnapped an individual at gunpoint to facilitate breaking into and entering the residence of Kid Cudi. And if that wasn't enough, multiple witnesses will testify at trial to the events surrounding the kidnapping and break-in, the latter of which is corroborated by police reports and other records. Approximately 2 weeks later, after this, the defendant's co-conspirators set fire to Kid Cudi's vehicle by slicing open the car's convertible top and dropping a Molotov cocktail inside the interior. Police and fire departments reports extensively document the arson and conclude that the fire was intentionally set. Multiple witnesses will also testify to the defendant bragging about his role in destroying Kid Cudi's car. Thank you guys for coming out. God bless you. Good night. There's nothing else to say after that. And they have multiple snitches and witnesses that are going to spill the beans on everything Diddy did. Arson proven. Sex trafficking proven. Extortion proven. And we're only in week 2. They already have 3 RICO situations proven, and we're only in week 2. Yet TMZ is trying to slant the narratives, talking about it's a weak case. I think it's probably a weak case because you're partners and you're doing a podcast with the fucking Diddy defense team. How the hell can we expect you to give unbiased news? His daughter is the lead attorney, Tenny Garagos. Mark Garagos is Diddy's longtime pal who has stood up for him and who has did borderline things to help the diddler. He is partnered with a podcast with Harvey, Two Angry Old Man. Of course, Harvey is pumping up the defense. Doesn't it make sense? What he gonna do? Shit on the defense with this in the defense? He gonna shit on them. Meanwhile, he has a podcast with the same person who's in his ear, telling them how wonderful the defense is doing all day long, every day. And I'm judging right now, and also Harvey I don't feel like he's the most stand-up guy anyway. Because see, I could have a podcast with Mark Garagos, and I would be on there telling them, look, y'all getting y'all asses handed to y'all. And then he free to say whatever he want to say. But you ain't gonna tell me what to say. And so the one thing we got people coming up today. I didn't get a list today. Sorry, y'all. I was not able to get a list of who's testifying today because I've been so focused on getting the information about Kid Cudi out. But I believe who did we end on yesterday? I think did we end on I forgot. I didn't even know who we ended on yesterday, but we should be starting fresh today. I believe Kid Cudi, if not today, I think he's supposed to testify tomorrow. But the prosecution got hella momentum right now. Hella momentum right now. But I wouldn't be Flo if I didn't honestly tell y'all. I got to go back to something I talked to y'all about. I'm not worried or concerned about the evidence. I think this is an open and shut case. Anytime you're able to prove 3 elements of conspiracy or 3 elements of RICO in the first 2 weeks, and you got 4 more weeks to pile it on, you pretty much got the case. But I'm gonna be honest with you, something that nobody's talking about, and what I don't trust is that these jurors are not sequestered. And somebody as powerful and as popular as Diddy is, and as you can see, no matter what he's done, you still have people that are on his side. Hey, and that's their business. Like I said, I'm never the one to have anger towards somebody because they are behind somebody. Now, I might, say that you're not proving shit and you're not articulating what you're trying to say, but you can be behind whoever you want to be behind. No Diddy. But I'm having a hard time feeling like the jurors are going to be protected for 8 to 10 weeks, or at least 8 weeks of just going home and coming back to court and not being bothered, surveillance, approached with money or whatever. And so it's not the case. It's not the case that concerns me. It's the fact that these jurors aren't sequestered. Is the only thing that kind of concerns me in this case. If you remember in OJ's case, in most high profile cases, the jurors are sequestered, meaning they are in like a hotel or some type of confined environment throughout the entire case, which protects them from outside interference or outside influence. For some reason, we're in New York. Diddy's born and raised. Diddy has ran New York for 30 years, and these jurors aren't sequestered. That kind of has me a little concerned about this trial being untainted. Now, it may not be an issue, but that's the thing that I'm wrestling with. Now, the breakdown on convictions and what you need to convict and hung jurors and all that, I figured like today would be a good day to kind of go over that, because now we're starting to heat up. And so you need all 12 to convict, y'all, but you also need all 12. You need all 12 not guilty to be acquitted. And you need all 12 jurors to vote guilty to get a guilty verdict. Now, if at least one person votes not guilty and everybody else vote guilty, in that case, we get a hung jury. And in a hung jury is pretty much at the judge's discretion and the prosecution's discretion, kind of like in between both of them. It's at their discretion if they want to retry the case or just dismiss it. That's in the case of a hung juror. Now, if there is like 5 not guilties and let's say 7 guilties, where it's kind of mixed like that, most of the time in that case, they would dismiss it. So that's what we're looking at as far as the guilty, not guilty. Now, if you want to take it to like notable cases, let's say like Bill Cosby. In the Bill Cosby case, there was in the first trial, there was a hung jury. But then the prosecution just retried them and then they got the conviction. But in like lesser known cases, normally if it's a hung juror, they normally dismiss it. And why am I bringing all that up? This is why Diddy's team, with the help of TMZ and Mark Garagos, this is why they are trying to push the narrative that this is no case, there's no evidence, there's no RICO, there's no this, there's no that. Because one of the biggest components, especially these days, but one of the biggest components of a high-profile case, if it ends up being a hung jury, public perception, where the public stands, heavily determines which way they go. So, for example, if we get to the end of this case and we get a hung jury, and TMZ has been able to plant in everybody's head that this is no evidence, that this is not RICO, they didn't prove RICO, Diddy didn't do anything wrong. If they're able to plant that in majority of the world's head, then they can push for a dismissal after a hung jury. But if everybody in the world, and I should say most people, know that Diddy guilty as hell, and most people understand that the evidence is damning, to say the least, and the world is stomping up and down saying he needs to go to prison, then in that case, if we get a hung jury, they will retry him, and Diddy will be back on trial again. Now, hopefully none of that happens and we just get a clear verdict one way or the other and we can move on. But I thought it was very important to lay out that because I know a lot of people don't really quite understand the guilty, not guilty, the hung jury, what it takes, how many, all of that. And to let you know, continue to spread the word. If you feel like Diddy is guilty and you want to make sure he's held accountable, then you have to be louder than these comment creeps. You have to share the good content. You have to be more aggressive. You have to be more vigilant on your phone and on your laptop about spreading the word of how guilty he is. If you want to protect, even if we get to the end of the road and for some reason you don't get the outcome you want, understand public perception, public outcry is going to be the final determining factor if we do get to a hung jury. So don't let TMZ, because like I said, I'm doing a video just to explain to everybody the connection between Harvey Levin and Mark Garagos, so people can easily understand why TMZ's narrative is slanted towards Diddy. He's looking out for Mark. Mark is not only looking out for Diddy, but Mark Garagos is also looking out for his daughter. This would be a huge win for Tenny Garagos if she could pull it off. And so by Garagos being a longtime friend of TMZ, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know Harvey is going to help his boy out. But he's going to try to be slick about it and try to act like he's being unbiased. But this is how dumb they think we are, y'all. How unbiased can you be if you have a fucking podcast with Diddy's defense team? So it gets to the point where I almost feel like I am doing what I'm doing and I was placed in this position for a reason. Because if it's one person who could get the truth out and can get it out in a way that everybody can understand it and is strong enough and has no fucks to give to worry about what nobody's saying, it's me. I don't know many other YouTubers or podcasters that could do what I'm doing. And I don't mean that as a slight. I'm just saying I'm confident in what the hell I'm doing. And I'm going to continue to do it. And I'm going to continue to put the information out there, not to tell people what to think. I'm not going on my page saying boycott TMZ. I'm not going on my page saying TMZ ain't shit. I could do that if I want. That's not my goal. My goal is to present the facts. And the facts are Harvey has a podcast with Mark Garagos. Mark Garagos has said out of his mouth, Diddy is a long-term friend and he will not leave him for anything. It is also a fact that Mark Garagos is coaching the defense because of his love for Diddy. And it's also a fact that his daughter is the lead attorney in this case. And what father is not going to look out for their daughter? And what partner in a podcast is not going to look out for his partner? Those are all facts. And I'm just going to make a video presenting that so people know to understand when you're watching TMZ, which I don't bother to watch them because I already know that it's not about it's an agenda. It's not about getting out the news. It's about clicks and views for them. They'll highlight that Diddy had Obama-shaped drug pills just because that blasts out and it's a trigger and it's clickbait and all of that. That's all they care about. But I don't have no partner on this podcast. I don't have nobody I'm pandering to. If Diddy was innocent, I would be on this podcast saying, hey, y'all, I think he's innocent, and I still would be presenting the case and breaking it down as it's happening with no bias. Because once I tell you where I come from, I don't have to slant my narrative. I can just tell you, hey, I think he's guilty. Okay, let's put that to the side, and I'm going to tell you what's happening. Just like yesterday when I said Westmoreland did an outstanding job of cross-examining Dawn and caught her up on some inconsistencies. I didn't have to say that. If I'm trying to slant it, I would have never even said that. I would never give the defense any credit. But I don't have to slant the news of the court case because y'all know where I'm coming from. So I don't have to go into that. Y'all know I think he guilty. Boom. So now I can just present the information and give you my unbiased commentary about what is actually happening. Because y'all already know where I stand. I don't have to prove that to y'all as I present this case or break the case down. Another thing, I gotta thank the subscribers real quick. And also let y'all know I will be in Cleveland. You know, I'm going for my son's 18th birthday and also his graduation. And since I'm going to be up there, I am going to be at having a kickback, and I want everybody to come up and check me out at A Touch of Italy, May 25th. It's in Shaker on Chagrin. You can look it up. And I'll be getting there around 6 p.m. I'm just inviting my True Blue supporters who are in Cleveland or close to Cleveland and want to pull up on me. So May 25th, A Touch of Italy in Cleveland, actually in suburb called Shaker Heights, Ohio. It's on a street called Chagrin. Look it up. May 25th, I'll be there at 6 p.m. Let's thank these subscribers real quick, and I'll give you my final thought as we go into today's testimony. I told y'all this was going to be hell week. Did I ever lie? Only people lying is TMZ, in my opinion. So who we got? All the VIP members. Actually, we just got one person today. Tanya, thank you for the $5 donation. You are the subscriber of the day. And if you want to subscribe and support the show, the subscription link is in the notes. And I'm actually going to put the subscription link in the chat real quick. For anybody that may have problems finding the subscription link, I got you. Let's go. Hold it real quick, y'all. Copy. I'll put the subscription link in here for anybody that may want to subscribe, support the show, keep the lights on. $3 minimum subscription is fine. If you're able to give more, I appreciate that. But let's keep the lights on this podcast. Let's keep it what it is, a true telling, unbiased podcast where I'm gonna bring you the facts and I'm gonna clear up the noise. Dead that Prince recording, and as a matter of fact, I don't like calling out people, but this guy is like a fake news. He's fake news to the T. And if you see anything by Secret Service Sam or some name like that, take it with a grain of salt. And I wouldn't even say that, man. I've been watching him come up for the last maybe year and a half, 2 years, whatever. And he just drops fake news after fake news, and it's disgusting to me. Y'all know I don't like to call people out, but it's ridiculous. And with this Diddy trial, every time he even said that the other day, he said, I'm in the courtroom and I found out that they're thinking about giving Diddy bail. And, you know, it went viral and all of that. And it's like, ain't no fucking bail at this point, man. But he'll say anything. So just be careful. He is a fake news expert. And I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't let y'all know that. Y'all know I don't hate on nobody. I don't name drop nobody. And I wouldn't. But this case is so big and he's just like constantly coming with fake news. And I feel like if I'm sitting back and not saying nothing when I know what he's doing and what he's done over the past couple years, it's like I don't know if he's not even confident in his ability to just cover the case. I think he's found a cheat code where if you say some halfway juicy shit that's not even true, it will go viral. And he is rinsing and repeating that, and it's disgusting. So other than that, nothing else to say. As always, I love y'all, but I'm not out yet. I'm about to do all my shout outs. I'm about to do all the shout outs, y'all. Let's see who we got. We got let me start from the beginning. Secret Service Sam, y'all. Take his news with a grain of salt. I don't even know how he's able to just drop all this fake news and nobody is like really caught on. It's like it just shows you how people can manipulate the algorithm, and the algorithm sends your stuff out to new people all the time. So that's kind of like how people get all this fake news out. But let me do the shout outs. Shout out Laura. Shout out the Empress. Shout out the MPs. Sherry, Steph, Angie, Suzanne, C Tuck, Sidini. Sorry if I said that wrong. Africa. Sherry Pearl. Hey Pearl. Alpha Omega. What's up? The River. Hey River. What's going on? Sierra. Kobe, One Shinobi, Teresa, Melody. Odell Dennis, what's up? Janelle, hello, hello, hello. Courtney. D Will, B Will. Angie. Yolanda, what up? Did I get everybody? I think I got everybody. If you want to subscribe, go ahead and subscribe. Joanna, what's up? I appreciate everybody who holding me down. I will see y'all tomorrow, same time, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, 7:30 a.m. Flow Show No Filter. If you don't catch me at that time, it's always on Apple and Spotify and Facebook 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As always, I love y'all, but I'm out.